Hey Trailblazers and Tarmac Tacklers, welcome back to the Maximum Mileage Running Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Hancock, USCA and UK Athletics Certified Running Coach, and I'm without my co-host Faye today. She's otherwise engaged, which I'm slightly disappointed about. I really wanted to get her on today because this is the last one of the year. The podcast came about totally by accident, and I can't believe I'm on episode 24 now. So this is going to be the last one before we have a little bit of break over Christmas and come back in 2024 with some new stuff, some new structure, some new guests. I've got some awesome ones lined up. And I'm going to be finishing the year with an awesome guest today. I'm absolutely delighted to have this person on. He's quite quickly, I think, becoming just as well known as the people that he's taken photographs of. David Miller, how you doing?
All good, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for coming on. We finally made it. Me and David have been trying to get this this episode together for a little bit of time, and we've had various things happen. Like I think I've had about 300 colds in the space of the last 6 weeks, and I've got one now, and I'm sat here with my Lemsip, trying to fight it off. But I didn't want to cancel today. So yeah, David, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no worries at all. We got there in the end.
Yeah, we did. So, David, I love your work, but before we kind of get on to talking about the photography, tell us a little bit about, for the people that don't know who you are, who is David Miller?
So, I'm a photographer. I've been doing it for a few years now, more sort of known for the sports photography, but as time goes on, I'm getting more well-known for sort of sport documentary style photography. You might have seen some of my photos at UTMB, Barkley. Primarily, I'm photographing sporting events within the UK, but as time goes on, I'm trying to sort of break out more sort of worldwide. But yeah, I'm sure you might have seen some of my photos dotted around Instagram somewhere.
Absolutely. And are you a runner yourself?
Yes. So I've actually been running for 10 years. Mm-hmm. I've said on a couple of other podcasts without sort of boring people, I got quite a bad ankle injury a couple of years ago. So I can't run quite like I used to. Got to a fairly good standard during lockdown when we all turned into athletes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I started like many of us. I was quite sort of overweight. Built up to 5K, 10K, 10 miles, half marathon, crept into ultra distance, and then sort of up to 100 miles. So I think, when I'm out there photographing the races and photographing you runners, yeah, I've sort of been in that spot. So I'm sort of aware of what you're going through. Whether that helps or not, I'm not sure. A lot of people say yes.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about this, but you've certainly got, with your photography, a style. Like I think I've gotten to see, because I followed you on Instagram for a while now, and I've gotten to see your photographs coming up, and I'm like, you can tell there's definitely some David Miller in that. It's it's really good.
Might be the same filter I use. It's just a filter I've sort of developed over time. But I think over time I've realised I'm a creative. I can be a perfectionist, which can be a very good thing, but also can be a very bad thing. Yeah. We have good and bad days out there, but ultimately I would only sort of ever put up any photographs I'm really happy with. When I talk to race directors, I think the number one rule for me really is I won't and can't sort of capture every runner. I think if I'm given more of like a license to photograph what I think will work, the results tend to be better for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly don't see your photos kind of going up on the, buy 6 of these for 20 quid.
Yeah, I mean, for the first sort of year or so, I was doing like a lot of it for free. I literally do it for the love of the sport. And when I used to travel to events, what I used to charge just covered the travel. But I've literally done it for the love of the sport. And I don't think I could ever sort of be in a position where I would say, if you want this photograph, wire me across £10. I give photos to the runners for free. If they message me after an event, I quite often ask for their bib number. I'll look and I'll send it across just because I want them to be happy.
Yeah, nice. With your photography, I mean, yeah, you've been into running for 10 years, but
Yeah.
when did you start the whole photography thing? Have you always been a photographer, or did
I
that?
used to muck around with the iPhone quite a lot. And again, I've been a creative for a long time without realizing it. But I think during lockdown, when everything was under a microscope, I had like this little point and shoot Canon camera. And I was just mucking around with it and took it home, started editing some of the photos, and I quite liked some of the results. And over the weeks, I was getting better with it. And my girlfriend Anna, she bought me a DSLR camera just out of the blue, and I took that on board, started photographing my mates, because a lot of those are good athletes, so I would go out on the trails with them. A lot of them are good triathletes, so I'd photograph them on the bikes, and I just found I was getting better at it, but also I was really enjoying it, and I was just enjoying the process. And being a creative and taking photos is what makes me tick. Obviously, it's quite a quiet time of year now, and already I'm thinking, oh, what can I do next year? I'm getting a bit fidgety, but it's good to sort of sit back and reflect on the year and sort of how far you've come and what you've done. Bit of imposter syndrome sometimes. I think that's quite common with all of us. Whether you're a runner or a photographer, you could run 100 miles and think, wow, how did I do that? But then 2 years ago, you were running 5K thinking, how do I do that? So, 100%. We come a long way without reflection sometimes.
Yeah. And you've had quite a year, which again, we'll get onto in a bit. So,
yeah.
With your running then, so what you said you did up to 100 miles. What did you do?
So it was the Robin Hood 100 up in Nottingham, Forest.
Yeah.
So I worked up to 82 miles and did the Wanner on the Jurassic Coast, which is where I'm from. I'm from Weymouth.
Yeah.
So, I almost obsessed and dedicated a sort of 6 months of my life to completing this 82 miles in 24 hours, it's quite hard work. It's a good sort of 10,000 foot. And it's a local event we all got obsessed with and celebrate. But after that, I felt, almost felt a bit cocky, and I could go and do 100 miles. So I signed up for the Centurion Autumn 100, did the first marathon in like 4.5 hours, and just completely blew up and completely disrespected the distance, DNF that. And I was never happy. It still sort of hurts to this day. Quite often I would sort of say to James Elson, I'd love to jump back on the Autumn 100, but as soon as my ankle lets me, I probably will give it another go. I think a year after that, I come back and tried 100 mile. So the Robin Hood 100, because it's flat. And again, it was successful, but it's because I wanted it, and it's because I respected the distance and sort of paced myself well.
Yeah. I always say with ultra running, some of our best learnings come from those DNFs. It's we just take so much from them.
Yeah, you learn so much, don't you? I think with any sort of 100 miler, there's so many variables. We can all go and do a park run and we know we can complete it. But I think with 100 miles, there's so much that can go wrong. And it's just something I disrespect. And I think we're all guilty to that to an extent.
Yeah.
But there's just something about the sport I love the community. I love what people put themselves through to really push themselves. You've got runners like Sally McRae in the States doing 250 miles. I watched her YouTube last week, completely blown away how someone would do that.
Yeah. No, you're right. The community side of ultra running is just so nice. It's the totally different standing on the start line of a fast half marathon, and you've got particularly me, I'm a little bit quicker, so I'm at the front, and I feel like I'm getting looked at by some of these people, like eyeballed, and you just don't get that in ultra running at all. It's
no, there's a real sense of community, and I think wherever you go in the country, sort of someone knows somebody. And again, it's a good opportunity now to sort of thank the community, because they've welcomed me with open arms over the years, given me a lot of support, and it's allowed me to continue sort of what I do. And like I've always said in the podcast, I'll carry on doing this for as long as I enjoy it. And yeah, I'm loving it at the minute. I'm not going to lie.
So I bet you feel like you're kind of just at the start of things, really. Sky's the limit for you.
It feels like that sometimes, but then I think, this next event I'm going to do, can I outdo my photos from last year? So I think in the next breath, you put an awful lot of pressure on yourself. because again, within the creative world, it's very competitive. There's some very good photographers out there, but over time, I've just realised you just got to stick to what you do and what works, and sort of not worry about anyone else and what anyone else does. And I think it's the same goes for running, really. You just got to stick to sort of what you know and the formula which works.
Yeah. How would you describe your style?
For the first sort of year or so, it was definitely just I was a sports photographer, photographing sort of ultra runners. But I think this last year, my style it's almost collaborating with documentary portrait style. A really good example is during the Triple C at UTMB in Courmayeur. This year, I was in the starting pen with, there must have been 20, 30 photographers, all photographing the elites. I was in there 10 minutes and I thought, I've had enough of this. This is like a circus. Yeah. So I decided to walk out the pen, and I was walking down the back streets of Courmayeur, and I was photographing runners sort of on their phones, having that last gel, and totally, in their own moment. Quite often they won't see me because I'll hide behind a bin or in a bush and be as discreet as possible. But I think capturing that side of the sport is more so what I'm getting known for. And I think that's the enjoyment, because it mixes with documentary, street portrait. And I can do what I choose on the day, which is always nice.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about ultra running. Sometimes it's not about the fast times and the elite. Sometimes it's about those kind of real stories where people have like ground out a really tough race, and it's not all about those fast times and someone going, I got out the chair and got myself to the end, and I think I see that in your photos, is that you capture those, in inverted commas, real moments, rather than here's the podium, here's the fast runners. In fact, that not a huge amount of your photos are of people actually running. It's in those kind of moments, isn't it?
You're not the first person to say that, actually. Often when I'm sort of flicking through my grid, I'm like, there's not enough running photos. But I put out the work I feel is relevant at the time. But I think if, as humans, we tap into emotion and what people are doing, and maybe that's where I found like an element of success, is because I'm unintentionally tapping into that. Again, I'm just sort of drawn to it. I don't do it purposefully. It just sort of happens. It's really hard to describe.
You've caught my friend John Keat iPlod all day on Instagram. You've caught him in a couple of rough moments.
That's like a joke between us. I managed to capture him at his low points. But yeah, he's a nice chap. I've just written in his calendar that I'm sure I'll catch up with him somewhere next year, whether it's at UTS or the Arc or whatever. Yeah, I do. You seem to bump into him all over the place. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about calendars in a bit. Cool. Okay. So, I mean, I wanted to hear about the Barkley, because you were there this year.
Yes.
I mean, the first question that came to my head is how does one get invited to be a photographer at the Barkley Marathons? Because it's for those who don't know the Barkley Marathons, it is 20-ish miles. We don't really know. One of Lazarus Lake's wacky creations. It tests the very best of the best.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things in life, is trying to describe the Barkley. Even my mum and dad, trying to explain the Barkley to them, I was like, there's cigarettes and then there's pages. And I thought, just go and watch the documentary. It's easier because it explains it really well. No, but the Barkley, so, I've watched the documentary like you guys. That's, for me, the number one event to photograph, because my style suits that event well, because you've got emotion, you've got the black and white, you've got the grittiness, you've got the best ultra runners in the world. So for me, it's a cocktail of exactly what I need. So I made some moves to be able to get out there. I can't sort of comment too much on how I got out there, but there was about 9 hoops to jump through. I jumped through them, and one of them being getting a working visa, because obviously to go from the UK into the US, you need to qualify for that. That was a bit of effort. I've got granted a 10-year visa, so I can go over to the States sort of willy-nilly now.
Wow.
But it was a hard process to get out there. Eventually did. Things panned out like they do sometimes. And, still to this day, it's probably, I didn't find the Barkley overly hard to photograph. It was obviously the longest, but because it's so sort of spread out and there's very few runners, it gives you a lot of time to maneuver and think about what you're shooting. And it's just one of those surreal places. If you ever go to Frozen Head and you go and even just witness the Yellow Gate, it's just so mystical, really strange. I remember sort of going in the hire car around the campsite when I arrived, and I was like, oh my God, there's the Yellow Gate, and it's just really strange.
Yeah. And how did you move around the course? Did they ship you around? Because it's a bit different to like, a UTMB or a UTS where the GPX is readily available and you can move center. So like, did they tell you this is the course and this is where you can go?
Yeah, so obviously, like, the campsite is primarily the main location because the runners come back to the gate every lap. But you're only allowed at one location on the course, and that's at the top of Ratjaw. So for a lot of you which have seen the documentary, that's where the fire tower is, the pylons, and they get sort of cut to bits. You can drive around to Ratjaw, and then there's a 45-minute hike up, or you can hike from camp, which is about an hour and a half, I believe. I always took the driving option, but I was very lucky because I had Alexi Berg and Howie Stern out there.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know those, Alexi's like the French photographer, and you'll see a lot of his work. He's, in my opinion, the best in the world. Obviously, Howie Stern's a very well-known, talented
legend.
Yeah, both amazing guys, and we worked as a trio. We were the sort of three main photographers. There was a lot of film crew there, but we worked as a trio. And they sort of showed me the ropes, really, told me what I can and can't do, and where to park and where to hike to get to the top of Ratjaw. So it was almost sort of all laid out on the plate for me, really. But I've taken it all on board. And, as they know, I was very grateful for the help.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be going back out again?
Yeah, well, I said about 6 months ago. I'm not really sure, because I'm not sure I'd get that same experience again, because a lot of people say, oh, he's just saying that. I had a real strong sixth sense I was going to see a finisher this year, just based on there wasn't many finishes the years before. And to see 3 finishes this year was, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it really was, yeah.
When Aurelian, John Kelly and Carol Saab come to the gate, you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
You get that clap, but then everyone's silent. And you just watch them on the gate sort of have their moment, and it's just strange. I know Damien Hall commented it's one of the best things he's ever seen. Surreal. But if I was going to go back, I wouldn't expect the same. I would probably expect no finishes, because knowing Laz, I don't think he would have liked 3 finishes.
I mean,
he would want to make the course as hard as possible, but.
God help the runners next year.
But there's obviously going to be a female finisher at some point.
Yeah,
and if I want to be one of the photographers to capture that, you've got to sort of put yourself in the position to go out there. So it's a big maybe. I've got some information. I've got the keys to go out there, but it's whether myself wants to go. So I'll just in the new year.
Well, what a fab position to be in, because the race it's mystical and wild and crazy. Even just sat here following the updates from Keith Dunn on Twitter. It's just mental.
Yeah, you see pictures of him on Twitter with like 2 phones. Absolute legend, that guy.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Like the best sports commentary of any event I've ever seen. It just comes in the form of funny updates on Twitter. Yeah.
One of the things I did take away from the Barkley is when I flew back into London. So you have to get in 2 flights to get there. I flew into Detroit, then into Knoxville. But on the way back, and I landed, I logged onto Facebook, and Laz shared. I took an image of a runner called Ben Yancey. He did 2 laps and he sat on the shower room floor, and he's sort of like half looking at the camera, half content, half absolutely mortified what's happened. But I was sort of talking around the gate to, I think, Howie, and I just said, I think I've got a nice photo here. And sort of Laz overheard me, and he said, let's take a look at this photo. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to look like a dick here. But he took a look at the photo and he just said, actually, can you send me a copy of that? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I emailed him that. And when I landed, Laz actually shared it on Facebook, just saying like, oh, this photo represents the Barkley. And I was blown away, because that's everything I've ever wanted. It's one of those sort of moments where, just surreal.
Yeah, fantastic. What is Laz like?
Yeah, just as you see him on film, really. The friendliest guy you'll ever meet, really sort of strict with the race, as you would expect him. But again, he's not getting any younger. He's sort of powering on. He sits at that gate for multiple hours. But he's obviously engrossed in what he's doing, and he's going to leave a legacy, really, isn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think he's already leaving a legacy on the trail running world, ultra running world, because his formats are just so different. I mean, the backyard ultra is just another thing. I coached somebody to one of the backyard ultras a couple of weeks ago, and it's just such a phenomenal format.
Yeah, I think the term legends overused a lot nowadays. You hear that, like Laz is a genuine legend. That guy is someone else. Yeah.
Awesome. So the next one I just wanted to talk about, because you get yourself around, and you said right at the beginning that you predominantly focus on UK races. So were you at UTS this year?
Yes.
Where were you?
Where?
Yeah, where did you camp out?
So obviously, like the start finish line. What distance did you do?
I did the 55k.
You did the 55k. So on that race, I decided to ignore Snowdon, because I was told it was going to be very nice.
Oh mate, it was like Benidorm up there.
So as you drop off Snowdon and go to a check, so as you climb Snowdon the second time, do you go down the Rangers path?
Yeah, down the Rangers path. Yeah, to the farm.
Big point there in the white tent. The next climb, which they call the Elephant Mountain, I can't pronounce. I was up there at the top of that.
Mole Elio, I think it's. So you were up there, right? Okay, after this, I'm gonna message you my bib number if I can.
Sure.
If I can find it, and see if you can find if you got any pictures of me, because that was one of my low moments, actually.
A lot of runners were low coming up there, but it was just so hot that day, wasn't it? And
yeah.
From what I can tell, there wasn't enough water on the course. I mean, didn't want to sort of get into the politics, but I had quite a lot of water on me. And there was another photographer just down the way from me working for Sportograph, and he looked like he was dehydrating. On the way down, I gave him all my water and just said, "Look, mate, I'm going back to my car. Absolutely fine." But I think whatever race you'll see me at, I'll dot around. I get quite fidgety and bored after an hour, then I'll just skip to like different locations. It's just what I tend to do, unless I'm at the Barkley.
Yeah. UTS was, I mean, it was a nightmare. I'm probably a bit hard on myself. I'm going back this year for the 100k.
Nice.
I was supposed to do the 100 miler this year, but with things going on with my wife's health, I dropped the distance. But yeah, when it was brutal. I should be more pleased than I was. I think it was like 150th out of nearly 2,000 runners, so it wasn't too bad. But in my mind, it was a hard day, really hard day, because it was so hot.
Yeah, it was hot. Tom Evans looked like he was cruising, so I was obviously waiting for him to come up first. But I think it was just a training run for him in the lead up to the Western States.
Yeah, he was massively, heat acclimated and altitude acclimated, and Tom is Tom anyway. So
what an athlete!
Yes, incredible. So you sort of just touched on it there. You get fidgety, and you want to kind of move around. And this is kind of one of the biggest reasons I wanted to talk to you, was because I just find it astonishing how I can be. 1 minute I'm getting photographed by one of you guys in one position, and then it doesn't feel like that long later. It's like 30 miles down the track, and there you are again. It's like, how did you get there? So how do you move around?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm old school, but obviously, like on maps on your phone, I pinpoint the locations. So I'll study the course and see where the best locations are. Not necessarily the popular locations, but the locations I probably think will work best. And quite often, it's not next to a road. You know, it does involve like a lot of hiking. But yeah, I just sort of have a rough plan in place and just pinpoint where I'm going to go. I've done UTS a couple of years, so, and again, where I'm from, Dorset on the south coast, I'm not familiar with Wales. But as time goes on, I'm getting more familiar with that region, and I'm actually going up to UTS again next year. So I'm hoping to go to some different locations again, which I haven't decided yet. But yeah. It'll be cool.
Yeah, I mean, getting yourself halfway up Mol Elio to take pictures, fair play. That broke me, that climb. That was a low point.
Yeah.
So what other races would we find you at? I'm guessing you're probably going to go to the Arc.
Yeah. So I've got a good relationship with those guys, like Fergie and Jane at Mercury. Where I'm from the south coast, we just sort of fit hand in hand. And over the years, you know, they've given me opportunities and the support, so I give it back to them. But it's actually one of my favourite races. Again, where I'm from the south coast, I love running on the coastal trails. So that event is my element, just my absolute favourite. But again, I think it would be my third year. I find it really hard not to sort of copy myself every year and to try. I'm always looking to try something new, whether it's a new technique or a new location. And it's getting to the stage at the Arc where I'm running out of locations, so I've got to start sort of thinking outside the box. But I'll be there in January. Again, Barkley's sort of like up in the air. I'm looking to go to the tunnel, which is the Mark Cockbain event on March the 1st.
Down the road from me. Well, literally 15 minutes down the road. Yeah, 200 miles in a tunnel. Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, I did give Mark a message and just say, you know, because I'm doing it off the cuff. I want to go there and just photograph it, because again, I think it would pay off and it would suit my style.
Yeah.
Going to UTS again. And potentially, what I want to do is go to the Western States 100. That's probably my number one goal next year, is to maybe do that rather than UTMB. I'm not sure yet. It just depends logistically if that works out. I know getting out to California can be a bit of an issue, and I know getting around the Western States 100 isn't easy either logistically.
No. Yeah, I mean, let's use that as a segue to talk about UTMB, because I mean, it almost feels like you've nailed that. Yeah, you got the photo that got you some pretty good recognition recently.
Yeah, do you know what that black and white photo you were talking about, Matthieu Blanchard? At the time, I didn't realise how well it was going to do. I've always liked it, and people have liked it, but obviously I've entered it into a couple of competitions. One of them got into the finals of the World Sport Photography Awards. And again, I don't know how big that outfit is. And the other one was obviously the British Photography Awards, which is the recent one. With the British Photography Awards, you had two chances of winning your category. Off, I couldn't believe it. Sat there when they called my name out, and I won that award. I don't think it's sunk in, because it was only 2 weeks ago. I think it's going to get to sort of in the new year. So I've won this award, you know. Yeah.
Sorry, David. I think my internet went a bit crazy then, and we lost a little bit. But just to sort of recap what you're saying there, you entered into the British Photography Awards and you've won the People's Choice Sports Photography of the Year, right?
Yes, that's right. So again, I put out a bit of a plea to the trail running community to help to sort of back me and vote. It come through. I was really, really pleased, and again, I'm very, very grateful to the community for helping out. And it's that sort of will help me do this for many years to come. Yeah. It's one of those sort of kick yourself moments. Again, it hasn't quite sunk in where it was only 2 weeks ago, but I'll give it into the new year really, and then I think it will. I'll soon realise sort of how special that is for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you certainly did get the support. I remember seeing so many people sharing your so your plea, your request to vote, and I was definitely one of those.
I'm not normally one of those that will request too much, but when I see an opportunity, I had a good conversation with my other half about it. I just put my foot on the gas, and I thought there's a real chance here, because some of the photos were obviously like Messi, the Wimbledon winner. I was up against some real heavyweights, but to get UTMB and Matthieu Blanchard within the mix and then go ahead and win the People's Choice, it sort of blew me away. But again, straight afterwards, Matthieu Blanchard sort of sent a message. He wanted like a print sent over to France, so obviously I was very happy to do that for him.
Yeah, very cool.
Even at a UTMB, when I was chatting with him, I think the photo, again, it come in like the top 10 of the world sports. And I remember him saying to me, he goes, "Oh, next time we'll win." And basically I thought, I'll capture him again next year doing something different. But I didn't realise that photo would go so well in another competition.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible photo. And I think particularly that race last year between him and Kilian, where they were neck and neck for so long. Ultimately, Kilian did what Kilian does and pulled away. But for Matthieu to come in under 20 hours and run in the way he ran it was just, and that photo just kind of summed up the level of effort that he put in. Just for such a special race, it really was. I'm still kind of weighing up. Was Jim's win more special, or was that race more special? And I still keep coming back to Kilian versus Matthieu, and Tom as well. Tom was kind of in the mix. It was great to get Tom on the podium as a British runner. But
I don't think it went Tom's way this year for whatever reason. But I think next year after, I think UTMB is there for the taking for him for sure. Yeah. I'd like to see, maybe Matthieu Blanchard or Zach Miller give it another go, because even Zach Miller went sub 20 this year.
Yes.
Second, but I think everyone would like to see Zach win it too.
Oh, Zach's like the people's champ, though, isn't he?
He's so good.
We all love Zach. Yeah. He's
just rock and roll, isn't he?
Yeah. No coach. He just runs. That's what he does. Just runs, just gets out of there.
I remember photographing him at Triumph Checkpoint this year, and he's sort of opening cans of Coke and sort of Coke's going everywhere. He don't care. He's just so rock and roll. It's great to watch. It's like a real sort of sense of urgency when you watch that.
Yeah, you got to love his sprint finishes as well. Doesn't matter what the distance is, he will do a sprint finish, signature sprint finish. Yeah. A
lot of us commented it reminds us of like the wrestlers in the WWE, like running into the ring.
Yeah.
Like, it's exactly like that.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it.
Yeah, I was chatting with Robbie Britton about that, and we were waiting for someone to do like a GIF or like a bit of a mock-up of Zach's face on a wrestler. So if any of your listeners are good at that, maybe send them our way.
That's a good idea. I'll ask around. So I bought your calendar.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the calendar. What sort of, because it hasn't arrived yet. In fact, I think my wife's bought it for me for Christmas. So so I haven't seen all of the pages yet. So what have I got in store for each month of 2024?
Yeah, I'm looking at a massive pile in the kitchen now in envelopes, so they're sort of like ready to go this week. But I think it's something I always want to offer every year. A calendar is a nice way to sort of look back on your year and just like pick a selection of your favourite photos. Like I've obviously gone for portrait this year, so they're bigger and it's sort of like more of an arty style.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's going to sit right next to me on my wall here.
In fact, I've got one right here next to me. This is a faulty one. I'll keep that one, I think.
Which what picture is that on the front?
Oh, so that's a photo of Tom Owens coming down the pig path in Snowdon.
Oh, okay.
Another runner, I can't remember his name, but that was on the very early hours going down the pig path of the 100k at UTS. You'll be doing.
Were you at the finish of UTS when Emma Stewart crossed the line?
Yes.
You were?
Yeah.
I wonder if it was your photo, because I finished just as Emma had finished. So when I crossed the finish line, my finish was totally taken away from me because Emma was getting interviews and everybody was paying attention to her. So I'm like, my photos were blocked.
I hate it when that happens. That happens at UTMB. If you get one of the rock stars finish and someone is sort of in between them from another category, it just gets overlooked. Yeah, it's a shame when that happens, isn't it?
So, to be honest, I was like, I'm just glad to finish and see my family and go and sit in the hot tub in our Airbnb that we had.
Yeah.
You've also been sending out some original signed prints of the Matthieu Blanchard photo, right?
Yeah. Prints is something I've never really thought about, but after winning the competition, it's something I wanted to do, to draw a line under that photo, because I think it's been sort of shared so many times, and I just feel people are probably a bit bored of it. Whether that's the truth or not, I'm not sure, but I wanted to offer just like 100 prints, just to draw the line under it and celebrate. I don't think I'm going to offer prints for all my photos, but if one does particularly well or I'm particularly happy with it, it's something I'll consider.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. And I imagine they sold out pretty quick.
They're not sold out yet. I've got some more sort of printing to do, but they are sort of doing very well. But I think it's going to be more of a drip process over the coming months.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's good to know, because I thought I should have ordered one. I thought, they'll have gone by now, so I'll jump on later and I'll order one.
Yeah.
So before we sort of start to wrap up, you've hinted at maybe Barkley. You're definitely going to be at UTS and the Arc of Attrition. What else have you kind of started thinking about for next year?
Definitely like the Western States. I said that was like my main sort of go-to, but then again, I'm looking at events like Badwater in Death Valley, thinking, rather than Western States, would that suit my style more? Again, I think it's really important I don't copy 2023, because it's very easy to go to the same events and take the same photos. But myself, I want to carry on developing as a photographer. I've got a couple of ideas. I don't want to sort of disclose it yet, just in case I don't do it, but I've got a couple of ideas how I can sort of amplify my style forward. And if I make that upgrade, I think, I can do real justice, and I think you'd see a lot more quality. Yeah. For sure. But again, I just need to sort of decide what direction I want to go in. And again, ultimately, it's while I still enjoy it, I've got to enjoy what I do. But I'm very close at the moment to almost copying this year, sort of doing like the ARC, UTS, potentially the Barkley, UTMB, and straight away it's like a mirror year. Yeah, that doesn't sort of sit well with me, really. I'm all for the new experiences. So I used to be the same running as well. I'd never want to repeat like a race, because ultimately it's never the same. It's never quite the same feeling.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, the only reason I'm going back to UTS really is because I want to get back up to the
upgrade.
Distance. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Badwater. Oh yeah, that would definitely suit your style, because that's just brutal. For anybody who doesn't know what Badwater is, that's 135 miles in Death Valley.
Yeah. I mean, logistically, I think that one would be sort of very tough, where it's so hot in the desert. And a lot of what I do depends on my partner as well, because quite often you'll see Anna and she might be driving me about, and I can jump out the car and then I can sort of take those quick photographs. But logistically, if I've got to worry about parking and all this sort of thing, it can really sort of take its toll. But yeah, we'll see for sure. I'd like to go to like another European race, whether it's UTMB again, I'm not sure. Part of me doesn't want to go back to UTMB next year, because I've done it 3 years running and it's going to be more of the same. But yeah, we'll see on that front. I probably will be back out in Chamonix. We all say that, didn't we?
Yeah. I'm hoping to get out there for the first time next year. So yeah, we'll see. It's
what race?
Probably CCC.
Yeah,
probably CCC. That would kind of cap my sort of almost cap my year quite nicely. I've got UTS, Lakeland, and then hopefully CCC. And if not, then we'll see. There's so many good races out there. Great races, really.
I know UTMB. It's a good point to say this, actually, because obviously UTMB has had a lot of bad press recently, and I'm sat on the wall with UTMB because from day one they've been really, really good to me. they've given me the opportunities, but I think on the communication front with what's happened out in the Whistler, they can do better. I think there's things they can do to work with the community and these race companies better than what they are. But I think, if you haven't been to Chamonix or you're planning to go, when you actually see UTMB, you would never see anything like it. It is literally the community together. Everyone, and it's vibes. It really is special.
Yeah,
I always get quite early, and sort of by UTMB, I've got a bit of a headache and maybe want to go home. But I think, if I was a spectator out there, I would definitely embrace it. For sure.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think they've made some pretty stupid moves in the last few months. The whole Dacia thing from an environmental perspective, and Whistler from a ethical perspective. And I even talked about this on the podcast. I think it was the last episode I did. Things like UTS. I mean, what the terrain is like up there. It's brutal. It's dangerous, and for them to not have qualifying criteria for just a case of, I think the disclaimer on the website is, if you enter this race, you must have some sort of mountain experience, and that's kind of it. That's their disclaimer done. I absolutely think they should have some sort of qualification criteria for something like UTS.
I think UTS is really sort of overlooked, and again, the terrain is much harder than UTMB.
Oh yeah, it's very technical. Grade 1 scrambles in places, and to be letting loose. I mean, I'm on the, I don't know if you're on the UTS Facebook group, and I seeing people on there constantly posting, "Oh, I'm in for the 100K. I'm in for the." I even saw one saying, "I'm in for the 100-mile." Never done a trail race before of any kind.
What trail shoes should I wear?
Yeah. Has anybody got a plan I can follow? I'm like, a plan. You need to get some serious mountain experience, because it is a tough gig up there.
All I have is complaints about parking at UTS just because it's in Llanberis.
I didn't think it was that bad, although I was in the 50K, and me being me, I got there super early and there was loads of parking.
Yeah, I never have that problem. I just park around the back of the start finish. But I think with how busy the 50K is this year, and like these events selling out, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Yeah,
I'd be interested to see if they change the course actually this year with Mike, the race director, moving on, because he was quite adamant that he wanted the race to be very tough. He didn't want loads of finishes, but I don't think that's what UTMB want. So I'd be surprised if they don't change it.
It would be very interesting to see if UTMB have another race in the UK, because there's a lot of talks about that at the minute, potentially in the Lake Districts. I know they're looking at.
The lakes. I wondered if it'd be the lakes or Scotland.
Yeah, it won't be Lakeland. I think they've sort of confirmed that won't be taken over by UTMB.
Oh, hopefully not, because I hear Lakeland. I'm looking forward to that, because that really is a community event. They have different themes and stuff there every year. So
I was there this year photographing that, and I turned up and it was just full of cowboys. I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah, it was a Western theme, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just didn't realise the themes though. I didn't realise that was a thing every year. Sort of being a southerner, we're like, what the hell's going on? It was like a really long drive, and all of a sudden there was a load of cowboys. Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, I interviewed Andy Berry, who won the 100 mile. He came on, and he said he went into every aid station going, "Yeehaw!"
Yeah, the start, Coniston, and then there's this road which goes to checkpoint 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we drove along that road. It's called is it Wasdale Pass?
Yeah, I think that's.
Apparently, it's the most dangerous road in the UK. And when we were on it, there was almost like a 30% incline. Yeah, and it felt like a roller coaster.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, we'll see what UTMB do. If they want to continue with this scoring system to be able to qualify for the big dance in Chamonix, I think they're probably going to have to change it, because we can't just have one race. And I think Snowdonia National Park, they're probably going to say something at some point with the amount of runners.
Yeah.
I think it's 2,200 on the 50K this year. Next year. It's crazy numbers.
I guess they go off elevation rather than distance as well. So almost setting someone up on the south coast for people living in London, it's going to be very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, you could potentially go on the coast path, because I think there's a lot more elevation on the coast path than what people think. But the trouble is, all these Dorset and Cornish villages, I don't think they would embrace a UTMB event.
No, not that many runners. Not that many runners. No chance.
No.
David, it's been awesome having you on.
Thank you.
I always like to ask, how can people find you?
I reckon the best place is Instagram. That's where all the creatives seem to be. So davidmiller.photography.
Yeah.
And I hopefully see you out on the trails next year or this year. I'm actually going to the Winter Downs, the Centurion 200 mile.
I thought that earlier actually, and I didn't say you surely you must be going there, because that's the UK's real sort of first 200 mile ultra, isn't it?
Yeah, very last minute, but I'm only going to be there for the first day, but I plan to be there like all day through the day and night. So yeah, hopefully see some of you there. But again, that was only very last minute. Well, I'm a bit bored.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm sure you'll get some shots of people, even if it's just the first day, that will suit your style. Which I look forward to continuing to see how your style evolves. Or
great.
Thank you very much for coming on, David.
No, thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Well, folks, there we go. There you have it. That is the last Maximum Mileage Running podcast of 2023. I want to thank everybody who has listened, downloaded, and those of you who have followed every single episode. Some people, it's been amazing to get the feedback that I've had, considering it started totally by accident. I'm just delighted to have had people like Holly Stables, Beth Pascal, Joe Smith, James Scott, David you just heard. It's been amazing, so many great guests, and I just want to say thank you all, and we'll see you in 2024.